Choose your plan. ArrowRight Former President Donald Trump is on the warpath as Biden administration grapples with escalating crises in Middle East. Republican presidential candidate seized moment to score political points. A drone attack on a U.S. base on the Jordan-Syria border by an Iran-allied militant group based in Iraq over the weekend left 3 U.S. soldiers dead and dozens injured. Some Republicans in Washington want the White House to take harsh, escalating measures, including targeted strikes inside Iran. President Biden's apparent desire to calibrate the response and avoid a broader conflict with Iran has brought plenty of benefits to Trump's mill. While Trump was president, there were attacks on U.S. positions in Iraq and Syria. But that's not point Trump and some of his Republican colleagues attribute sense of chaos in region to Biden administration and contrast it with peace through strength that former president tried to cultivate. Damaging diplomacy with Tehran. Trump tore up the nuclear deal between Iran and world powers, reimposed a series of sanctions against the Islamic Republic, and assassinated influential Islamic Revolutionary Guard commander Qasem Soleimani in a 2020 drone strike. Meanwhile, Trump's Israel policy has meant holding tight to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and fueling the agenda of the Israeli right. It was punitive Palestinians. He visibly changed U.S. policy towards Palestinians by officially recognizing Jerusalem as Israel's capital, closing a U.S. consulate Palestinians, and brokering peace agreements between Israel and a group of Arab monarchies that further sidelined political ambitions of Palestinians. After the Biden administration took office, things got complicated in the Middle East. His initial reluctant rhetoric bring human rights back to center of U.S. policy quickly melted away as the White House sought closer cooperation with Saudi Arabia and maintained status quo with Israel, eager build on Trump-era normalization agreements. He has struggled make progress on Iran. Trump's maximum pressure campaign led to an even more rigid, uncompromising government coming power in Tehran and the Iranian regime unleashing its nuclear program, abandoning Iran-mandated transparency measures. Nuclear agreement. Earlier this month, Rafael Grossi, chief of UN's atomic agency, said Iran's nuclear program is galloping ahead and called for diplomacy to close the gap to prevent situation from deteriorating to such a degree that no return will be impossible. Now, while the White House is considering opening new fronts of conflict with Iran, diplomacy is out of the question. Iran has not been deterred from continuing its nuclear pursuit, quite the opposite, Le Monde columnist Gilles Paris wrote this week, referring to Trump's legacy in the region. America's voice has been devalued, which partly explains the Biden administration's failure to re-engage with Tehran, as demonstrated by resistance axis of